Thank you very much, and we'll follow up with you both immediately after and talk about some logistics if you're able to stick around tomorrow or not. Also, I'd like an applause for both Chelsea and Max for. I thought you both, as we said, it's great for you both to express your interest and to stand up and speak in front of us, your peers, and we'd be very interested in working with you and having you collaborate on some initiatives that you're passionate about. So, s'il vous plaît, si vous êtes intéressé à être engagé, nous avons beaucoup de travail à faire. Let's see. Applause, we did that. Please be seated, that's happened. Eric, thanks, James and Mike. Thank you very much for acting as scrutineers. This is a really important part of the process, and having that transparency is critical. On behalf, thank the other nominee. We did that. Perfect. I need to move for someone to destroy the ballots, please. Ryan Ferguson, life-saving. And Linda, shooting. Acceptance of destroying the ballots from the Board of Directors election has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed, raise your hand and say no. The ayes have it. The destroying of the ballots is approved. Okay. As president on behalf of the Board of Directors of AthletesCAN, I'm very pleased to, as I mentioned in the president's report, we have two, very big personalities that have had a very meaningful and significant contribution to the organization, each in very specific ways, and it's also actually, it's been really creating great friendships as well. Something that is, that will go well beyond the time of the 3 years on the board. Phil, you don't think that you're getting away from guiding a bike ride through Quebec at some point here. But Aaron, if you could just come up, we'd like to recognize your work that you've done and present you with a small gift for both Phil and Aaron. Why don't you present? You present. Can we get a photo?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Where's Ashley's personal camera?
Can I?
Oh, well, I have one of us.
Concerns have been raised over the safety of LGBT athletes, officials, and fans during the Sochi 2014 Games. In the wake of newly passed legislation by the Putin government making propaganda of non-traditional sexual relations illegal, AthletesCAN agrees with the IOC's position that sport is a human right and should be available to all, regardless of race, sex, or sexual orientation. And as the voice of Canadian national team athletes, AthletesCAN shares the concerns of Canada's athletes. We feel that the IOC and IPC must apply pressure on Russia to guarantee the safety of all the people going to Sochi to participate in the Games. There have been calls for a boycott of the 2014 Winter Games and growing anger that a nation so opposed to the values of the Olympic and Paralympic movements are being granted the right to host such an important event. AthletesCAN believes that it is through events such as these that fundamental human rights issues are exposed, discussed, and hopefully changed. History has shown that a boycott achieves nothing but a loss for athletes. The Olympic and Paralympic Games will shine a spotlight on Russia that will highlight the good and the bad. Already the global anger and frustration with Russia's anti-homosexual bill has been amplified because of the Games. Human rights issues, such as those raised in China in 2008 and even in Vancouver in 2010, are exposed and talked about. The power of having thousands of athletes arrive in Russia, many of whom support or are members of the LGBT community, will be profound. We will monitor the events as they unfold and work with our national counterparts to ensure Canadian athletes have the information and resources needed to perform at their best. It is our hope that through the Olympic and Paralympic movements, sport can bring safety and freedom to those in the Russian LGBT community. To that end, we offer our support to the IOC and IPC through the COC and CPC for any lobbying efforts that will ensure safety for athletes heading to Russia. I think it's a very well-crafted statement, again, that Tom and Jasmine worked on. The board has approved this in our previous board conference call leading up to the forum. There may be, specific. It's possible that there's specific words depending on the context of how this used might be changed slightly. So I think your approval of this in spirit and basically really making it an official statement by AthletesCAN is what we're seeking, and your buy-in explicitly. So I would seek a motion from the floor to approve AthletesCAN on behalf of Canada's athletes and athletes internationally to use this statement in the principle as it's been presented. Do I have a motion? Vanessa Archery and Maxime Bouchard from diving. Thank you very much. Would anybody like to make any discussion or comments, questions? Yes, I think it's a great suggestion. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's great. Is that same? Awesome. Awesome. Jennifer Joyce? Awesome, thanks. Great. So the motion has been presented and seconded by show of hands and ayes. Can I please have your approval? Ayes. By show of hands, any nays? And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That concludes the meeting. The next item is the date for our next meeting. And do we have that determined? To be confirmed at a later date. And that meeting will be specifically, is that for the AGM? Is it later date?
Because we'll call a special meeting to
Right.
deal with the next phase of the bylaw implementation. And the next annual general meeting will be confirmed over the coming months.
Great. And really just a thank you to everyone for what was, our 21st annual forum, and another awesome weekend. And we never quite know what it's going to hold, but it was really a very special weekend in many ways. And I will adjourn the meeting. I have 4 o'clock exactly, Eastern Standard Time. All right. I don't need a motion to close? That's it?
No. So he moved.
I move to adjourn the meeting. No second.
doesn't
No
require a
second
second.
needed. No second needed. Yeah.
So then these are the other.
Okay. Perfect. So there are a couple. Thank you. There are just a couple of items that we'd like to circle back on. Specifically, we asked for your feedback yesterday on what were burning issues that were important. This was at the group breakout tables. Our thought was to identify some issues and then create the opportunity for us to gather again and discuss those in breakout groups. Funny thing that we weren't able to fit that into the schedule, but we did. But the team from Sports Solution did go through that list of items, and there were 5, thematic areas that were identified. I think there were also a number of other items that have surfaced over the weekend, which tomorrow the board will be meeting and discussing some of those broader policy issues. But the thought is, we'll put these up at the side there where the sign-up table was previously.
They're there now.
Oh, they're there already? Jeez, Jess. And if you're interested in establishing some dialogue with other athlete reps or with the board or staff, please sign your name to one of the sheets or multiple if you want to make depending what's most important to you. And boy, I'm not getting emotional. I'm actually just parched. Thanks. So we're just circling that back on that. If you sign up on it, we will follow up, and it could be, depending on what the issue is, it might be something that a group of athletes are working on. It could be a working committee that we establish. But they were issues that you identified that were important to you, and so it's an opportunity for you to get involved with that or follow up on those items. Also on your tables, you'll notice there's the positive space stickers and buttons. Feel free to grab those, take those with you, display them. And if there are more at the table, more there that you want, do we have more available?
Yeah. Should you wish to get more of them, certainly contact us and we can put you in contact with how to do so. But just with the note that if you choose to wear the positive space pin or sticker, that it does come with a responsibility that you're open to the trust that someone may place in you. And so just to be mindful of that.
Great. There are also green evaluation forms on the table. That feedback is valuable. Again, this is your organization, this is your forum, and that feedback will help us shape next year's forum. If there wasn't enough time on a topic, if there was too much time spent on something, if you think there's a way that we can improve the format or delivery, please let us know. The feedback is a start. If there's something specifically, don't hesitate to talk to any of us or the staff with those suggestions. And I think that's all the official business. This was, Joey? Do you mean specifically for the forum or more broadly? Right. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, so we discussed that, and Michael's gonna help look into this. What we want to do is make a closed group as a way to keep people together. We'll see, we're gonna test it out in the next few weeks. We're gonna get it out there, but you'll be invited. You're not on Facebook, maybe there is a rep who is in your sport. You'll be invited to join the group, and it's gonna be a way to share information back and forth. Specifically, we have the big open Facebook group. We want one that's private. And the recommendation is as a way to communicate with your athletes, is make your own closed Facebook group. It will require effort because you have to monitor who's actually able to be in that group, like who is a member of the national team, and kick people off and invite them in and make it crystal clear why people are in the group or not. But it's a good way to communicate. We're all on it all the time.
Okay, awesome. And it occurred, someone yesterday at the end of the session came and asked a question about, we talked about the athlete engagement and so many times I heard this week, I've never heard from my athlete rep, or I didn't, I've been the athlete rep, but my NSO never sent me here, or they said someone else has been coming, but have you ever seen someone from my sport? And it really comes down to that communication, and us taking responsibility for that ourselves. We come here and we get so fired up, and by the end of the end of the day, you're going to go home and probably crash for, well, hopefully you get a good 12-hour sleep. But it's important. It's really important to pick it up. Years past, we wouldn't meet until January as a board. Our first board meeting is tomorrow. We're not letting it slip. We're not going up and putting our feet up. We're getting down to work, and we're getting that started tomorrow. So I encourage you to do the same. A big piece to start with is to provide feedback to the athletes, just on your personal thoughts on the weekend. We'll get back. Tom, you'll put together a summary of key points, as you did in the past, perhaps, on the forum that you can use as reference. Personalize it for an athlete report. Let athletes know about the athlete handbook. Send out a link on that. I know there were a bunch of tweets that went out on the handbook. But that momentum and the same thing that you might be feeling of, I feel like I didn't know about this, the other athletes who aren't here will feel the same way if you don't if you don't share that information, and if you don't get that information into their hands and talk about it. The other piece that kind of struck me, and sometimes we're looking at the trees and don't miss the forest. So we've been talking about this athlete report and getting this out and publishing this. We're going to try and get a slot at Sport Leadership Conference in Calgary in November. Anyone who's in Calgary at that time or is interested, I'd highly, highly recommend that you go. There is a registration cost, and I think it's several $100s. But ask your NSO if they'll pay for that, especially for retired athletes. It's the coaches, it's the sports science, it's administrators, and it's the largest event, largest sport gathering of outside of athlete gatherings, and actually be bigger than any games in terms of Canadian sport representation at that event. And we're going to try and present this idea that we are going to publish to the sport community 85 athlete reports. 86 are the funded NSOs that Bob is the number that Bob shared with us today, plus there's non-funded NSOs. Someone asked me yesterday, with those reports, does that come back to AthletesCAN? Does that go to the sport? It's something that we would like to get directly from you. We think that that is very valuable in us being able to look at get an idea of the themes that are out there, and then to share that with the sport community, and again, in a responsible way. That's a document that we would like to be able to make a public document. So, be mindful of some of the things that Tom talked about yesterday about the positive language, and that it's responsible. You're definitely, it's a big thing to do that. If there's things that are sensitive, then maybe they're spoken about much more generally and addressed outside of that report. Aaron?
Yeah, and so one thing, this isn't just the last time that you're going to hear from us about this athletes report. The plan is that we're putting a pretty stringent plan together for it. We're going to know when everyone's general annual meeting is, AGM, and we want to contact you guys about 2 months out and help you start preparing for that with, survey monkeys or information, and there's going to be ongoing dialogue. So don't think you're just walking away from here and we just got a template for you. We want to have ongoing dialogue with you to help you build this, and we want to push this across the line so we do get these 86 reports, and you guys can have all 86 reports. AthletesCAN has it, Sport Canada has it, COC has it, and we'll be able to build on this every year. So this isn't the last time you're going to hear from us on this individually. So.
Does anybody have any questions about that? Anastasia? Dropbox, Great. You're going to be sending out invitations, Jazz,
Yep.
for Dropbox
Over the coming days.
over the coming days. Awesome. So if anybody hasn't used Dropbox, it's very simple. You'll get an email. It'll have instructions. It'll ask you to, basically you click through. What it does is it opens cue the music. It basically it puts a file on your desktop or in a folder on your computer, and anything that's in the desktop is automatically synced to your anything that's in the Dropbox is automatically synced to your computer. We're going to have to look at that in terms of read-only access, because normally Dropbox, if you delete it, it deletes it for everybody. So we'll have to look at.
Don't delete anything.
So yeah, there are some
yeah,
like
we'll figure it out.
subscribed ones, so we'll sort that out.
If we have a computer that's a work computer, is it safe to have that material open to that network?
Dropbox is also online. You don't need to download the apps to your computer to access the files. You can send a link and then you can just click through and it'll take you to the website, and then you can download it from the website. Just make sure you don't hit delete. And if you do download it through your thing, don't drag and drop, just copy and paste. If you drag it out of the folder,
Good. Awesome. Robin, did you have a final remark you want to make? We'll do. Here. There we go. Awesome. Thanks, Robin. Robin asked for a moment at the end of the forum. I wasn't sure what we were going to get. I thought maybe like Superman or something. I didn't catch that. Awesome. That was fantastic, you guys. I look forward to Forum next year, and something that we haven't done before at Forum, but I'd like to initiate is to end the Forum with a little show of patriotism. Jazz, cue the music.